Our headlines for you today. Capturing carbon dioxide and storing it under the North Sea. The government's expected to announce multi-million-pound plans for a new scheme which it hopes will cut emissions.
Stuck in hospital when they're well enough to go home. Some vulnerable people are waiting months to be discharged because of a lack of home care, according to a BBC investigation.
And posting any letters, make sure you're using Royal Mail's new barcoded stamps. Old ones won't work anymore after today, and I'll be explaining how to get them replaced.
Good morning. It's a final day decider for England in the Ashes. They're hoping to draw the series, but it's Australia who are in charge going into the last day of play at the Oval.
Police searching for a man who's believed to have fallen into the River Rye in Hereford have arrested 3 men on suspicion of murder. Officers say that the man was involved in an altercation before he disappeared. Teams are continuing to search the river. A midwife who told a patient that terrorists could contaminate milk formula to, quote, kill the babies, has been struck off. Anna Semenko, who worked at Royal Gwent Hospital in Newport, made the remark when trying to persuade a patient to breastfeed. She was banned from the profession earlier this month.
Now, rail passengers are facing more disruption this week because of a ban on overtime by train drivers. ASLEF union members at 15 train companies in England are refusing to work extra hours from today until Saturday. They are involved in a long-running dispute about pay. A third firefighter has died in Canada while battling the country's worst wildfire season on record. These time-lapse images were filmed in the western province of British Columbia, where homes were evacuated as the fires burned out of control. The number of people rescued while kayaking or canoeing more than doubled last year, according to the RNLI. The charity says it's also been responding to more calls about paddleboarders and is urging people to carefully check the tides and the weather before getting into the water. Let's have a look at this morning's newspaper, shall we? We're going to start with The Guardian this morning. They're reporting that ministers are considering restrictions on councils' abilities to impose 20-mile-an-hour speed limits as part of what it says is a new shift against green policies and traffic schemes.
Lots of green stories in the papers this morning. Here's The Times leading on news, as we've been reporting, that the Prime Minister's apparently going to press ahead with oil and gas exploration plans in the North Sea. That's following an announcement we're expecting today about that carbon capture scheme under the North Sea, saying that he's going to be using a trip to Scotland in the next couple of days, confirming all this.
And the Daily Telegraph has a picture here of Stuart Broad, who'll play his last day of international Test cricket today, having announced his retirement over the weekend.
And someone who we thought might have retired from sport, but he's not. He's sticking with it. Olympic diving champion Tom Daley. He's coming out of retirement. There he is. That's in Tokyo 3 years ago. And apparently he's setting his sights on Paris for the Olympics next year, inspired by his son, Robbie, who said, Dad, I want to see you there. I want to experience an Olympic Games. I want to see you on the podium. So there we go. Tom Daley back in time for France.
I would never bet against Tom Daley.
Yeah.
I know he's been busy with his knitting business, but I would never, ever bet against Tom Daley. He's incredible.
Let's take a look at the stories making today's front pages. So The Times says the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, has given the green light for more North Sea oil and gas drilling. The Telegraph's main story is on inheritance tax, but they also report Rishi Sunak's support for North Sea oil. The Guardian says ministers want to limit councils' ability to impose 20-mile-an-hour speed limit zones in an attempt to woo motorists. The Sun tells the Prime Minister to get a move on and make the changes that motorists want. A poll carried out on behalf of the Eye suggests the majority of those surveyed are worried about their ability to pay for essentials like food and household bills. The FT says the government has made it cheaper to pollute in Britain after it watered down reforms to the carbon market. The Mail has seen research suggesting that scrapping the tax imposed on foreign tourists for shopping in Britain could generate £10 billion for the economy. The Independent leads on a warning from Britain's most senior A&E doctor that the Conservatives' plan to save the NHS this winter could kill thousands. The Express isn't happy at being left on hold with the tax office for 3 hours. The Mirror continues its campaign against dangerous dogs. The Metro reports that the Russian President, Vladimir Putin, may be open to peace talks over the war in Ukraine after Kiev launched drone strikes on Moscow. And the Star says 5 significant rainstorms are heading our way in just the next 2 weeks. If you want to see any of those front pages again or read the stories, scan this QR code. It'll take you to the press review.